Yes, hello.
Yeah. Yeah. This is Suraj from
Just a minute, I'm
Zensar.
switching on my camera.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, Give me a voice.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yes, hi Suraj.
Hi. Give me just 1 minute.
Sure.
Uh, yes, guys. Can we start now?
Yes, yes, we can start.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, which Java version
Java 8.
you Java 8?
Yes,
Yeah. So we'll start from core Java and then
sure.
level down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in core Java, what is class loader and how it works?
Okay. So whenever JVM look for any class, whether that class is try to load that class it will search for whether that class is already loaded in the JVM memory or not. If not, it will delegate request to application class loader, and it will also then application class loader will delegate request to this thing. I think expression class loader and extension class loader, sorry, extension class loader, and it will delegate request to bootstrap class loader. Bootstrap class loader will see if it is that particular class is available in JRE lib or not. If it is not, if it is available, it will find it will call the load class method internally and load that class in the memory. If it is not available, it will again delegate request to extension class loader, and it will search that particular class in lib.ext folder. If it is available, it will be loaded from there. Otherwise, it will also pass request to application class loader, and it will search in our custom classes, and if that class is available there, it will be loaded. Otherwise, class not found exception will be raised.
Okay. So what is the functionality of JVM?
JVM is Java Virtual Machine, which is a virtual machine which is available in all the machines. So the functionality of JVM is convert Java code, convert that class file into bytecode as per that particular machine's language. Means if it is Windows machine, it will convert as per the Windows. If it is Linux machine, it will convert as per the Linux machine, and that's the reason JVM is always platform dependent, and because of JVM we have platform dependent JVM, which will give you your according whatever Java class you have written, it will convert that particular bytecode as per that platform. That's made Java actually platform independent.
Okay. So before Java 8, how the garbage collector working of garbage collector?
So in Java 8, in the memory they have done big change, that is they have removed the permgen space and replaced that with the metagen space. So permgen space was earlier the part of JVM memory only. Now they have removed that part and they have included the metagen space, which is part of their native memory. Means this comes from OS memory, so it can roam. Otherwise earlier we used to get permgen space error in the at the runtime or in whenever that memory gets full. So because of meta space, now it can grow up as per the OS capacity. So that big change is done in the Java 8 for the memory management, I can say.
Okay. Okay. What is the difference between abstract class and interface, and which one is preferable in which situation?
Okay. So abstract class will contain earlier it was different. The abstract class could have only it can have abstract and non-abstract method both. And in interface we can declare only abstract method. But Java 8 onward we can have default and static method also in the interface. Second difference, in the variable, whatever variable we are declaring in the interface, it will be final public, whereas abstract can have any kind of variable, private variable, public variable, final variable. So whenever I want whenever I want to decide, okay, this is my class, this need to be implemented in the child class as per their need. Earlier we used to do that. Then we used to just declare that interface, and every child class will override that particular abstract method as per their need. And abstract class was, okay, we want to give some default feature also in the abstract class which child class can use. So we were writing in that abstract class. So as per your need you can use. So class, like one class need to be extended, and so once if I have extended any class, I cannot extend any other. So if requirement is like that, now we have in static and default method in interfaces also. So I think interface will give you all the flexibility to extend your class, to modify, or to scale your class.
Okay. And what are the methods? What are the non-final methods of object class?
Non-final methods. Equals, which we can override and we need to override, and hash code, and what else?
What are all methods are present
in object class?
Yes.
So equals is there, hash code is there, toString is there, notify all is there, finalize is there. This much I can recollect now.
Okay. Okay. Suppose if we want to create any immutable class, how we can do that?
Immutable class means it will be, no one can modify that class. So first that class should be final class, and all their attributes should be final, and there should be no constructor given. No constructor will be there, otherwise how they will create the object. And we will provide the getter method, not the setter method. And in the constructor we will provide the deep copy if any another class object is attribute of my immutable class. So we will provide deep copy of that class.
Okay. Okay, so singleton, how we can create a singleton class?
Singleton idea is behind singleton. Whenever that class will be called, it should first check whether already any object is available or not. If it is available, we need to send that object, otherwise create a new object. So for that we need private constructor here with public object declaration on top, and we will have a public get instance method which will actually check whether that object is available or not. If not, it will return. And we can add synchronize and double check of synchronization also for thread safety here.
Okay. Right. So can you explain the exception hierarchy in Java?
Exception hierarchy, we have like built-in exception and custom exception, I can say. So throwable is the parent class of all the exception. So we have two types of exception here, checked exception and unchecked exception. And error is also part of thread, which comes at the runtime. So checked exception are some those kind of exception which you have to handle while coding itself. Like if you are opening any file, it will ask you to handle the file not found exception in the compilation type only. Similarly, IO exceptions also need to be handled at the compile time, and those are checked exception. But unchecked exception will come at the runtime. So even though you can put your try catch, but that will occur at the runtime only, like null pointer exception, because that's depend upon the what input you are doing. So this is two type of exception is there: checked exception and unchecked exception.
And suppose if we want to create our own custom runtime exception, how we can do that?
So we can write our custom exception by extending runtime exception, and we can decide at what time, like we do in the Spring Boot projects. we create controller advice and we write down exception handler at it, and there we mention on which exception this method need to be handled. So from there we return that message and status code. So similarly in plain Java also we can write down, and we can catch or throw that particular custom exception whenever we require.
In a web application, what is a filter and a listener? Have you worked on filter listeners?
See, filter, and because as a part of Java backend developer, I am mostly involved in the backend side, but we do create a filter for that by requesting one per request filter for the authentication, JWT authentication, which intercept all the requests first time and authenticate that.
Okay, can you explain your application flow that currently you are working in?
Okay, so we have created one screen for trading account creation, where which that screen is available for sales representative, which is that UI framework is developed in the Vadin framework. Vadin framework, there is separate team which does that work. They create template and all as per their UI requirement. And so whenever this request come, we have exposed our controller. There are different APIs are there which will like for creation of trading account we need the security data, so it will get security data will come internally. We have written multiple objects like which security is required on security level. Also there are many permutation combination are there which will comes as a JSON request to our controller. Then our controller will decide where to forward that level, then it will go to service layer. Sometime we take data from that's the file system, so we have written that logic also. Otherwise it go database, get that data, validate that data again at the service level. If any modification required, that is also done here, but again that data is set in the response body and written back. In between there is API gateways are there, service registry implementation is there. So yeah.
Okay, suppose if any exceptions occur or any defect occur, how you will track that defect and how you debug the...
You are talking about our exception handling?
Actually, I'm looking for a debugging, how you debug that defect.
See, at production level, if we are getting any defect, like if at production level something occurred, so we are dependent on the logs first of all. So what log and what is, if we can identify from the log, then okay, we'll first try to replicate that defect at UAT environment, because UAT is similar to production. Before that, if something very critical, so first of all, if it is because of our last release, we will revert that release immediately by taking that downtime and all, so that system should start work. After that we will try to replicate that at the UAT, and we will involve all the stakeholder to identify actual problem. Once it is the problem is identified, we will solve that problem as the development level, and there is then again new JIRA and new timeline will be decided, on which we have what is actual issue will be identified. That's the reason we involved actual end user also in our UAT testing, so that it should not fail at the production level. Or we can get the heap dump, and we can analyze that heap dump, which particular object that is giving me that error. We have Java virtual inbuilt feature with the Java, where we can see the memory chart and all.
Okay, so as you use Java 8, what are the features are included into Java 8?
So Java 8 is introduced functional programming in the Java, I can say. Before that it was only object-oriented programming. So for that they have introduced functional interface, lambda expressions, then stream APIs, optional keyword, and then there are some changes in the datetime API also. Yeah, these are the main changes. Yeah.
So can you write a code in Java 8? Can you share your screen and write code in Notepad?
Okay.
So we have a list of employee, and we want to filter out, we want to print the name of employee, which is age greater than 50.
Which is?
Age is greater than 50.
Okay. So you are saying we have an employee list and you want to filter this stream list on the basis of their age.
Yes.
Okay. So stream, and then on the basis of their age, whose age is greater than 50. Okay. Then we can directly use filter here, and a dot get age is greater than 50. Then close this also. No, then directly you can collect, or collector.collect, or you can directly print here by writing for each a dot system SOP. We have to write here system dot print ln.
What is the use of map? What is the difference in map and filter and use of map?
So filter is a terminal I can say terminal. No, it is an intermediate operation which will apply on your stream to filter like we are doing here. Map is a terminal operation which will map to any map object.
Okay. Okay. In a Spring, what is IOC? In how we can class it IOC?
IOC is inversion of control. I can say as in a principle or concept where control is inverted. Earlier we used to treat like if I have an employee class, and employee class I need to create object of department class, is the it was responsibility of employee class to inject that department class. Now it's responsibility of container. We have to just auto add and it will create department class for employee class. So it is inversion of control.
Okay. What all annotations have you used in Spring Boot applications?
Annotation, so it start from first @Spring Boot application. Then if I'll go to controller level, I'll use @REST controller or controller, and then for on the mapping file I can use get mapping, post mapping, whatever mapping required there. Then if it will there also there are many options like value and value path variable, whatever we need to use there. Then it will go to service layer also. We can in between we will auto add also where classes wherever it is required. Then at the service level also @service we will use. From there, if we are connecting the JPA repository, it will go to JPA repository. At the repository level we will use @JPA repository. Now if this is a plain code, then if we are using service registry, then @Eureka server and @Eureka client, that need to be used. And then if we are including the security, then @web security needs to be used on our security class where we have implemented security. So these kind of things I have used.
Okay. So how the security is applied on your API or any service? How get authenticate this particular
Authentication you are talking about? Authentication and...
What is the difference between authentication and authorization?
So authentication where you have to authenticate your username and password. Authorization is once it is authentication, what kind of authorization you have, like role, what role you have, admin role, creation role or updation role. So first request will be first authenticate for the username password, and then it will be authorized what all the pages need to be visible for that particular user.
Okay, so how it is applied on that particular API microservice?
So in our case in our case we have implemented JWT token library for that. So first time we have login with the help of login URL we can identify, it will go to controller, and there in memory JDBC authentication function we have used, which is part of again your web security configurer or adapter name method. You have to extend, and there you will get multiple configure method, overloaded configure method. One of is that where you can authenticate manager builder, and with the help of that object you can authenticate your JDBC. You can directly connect to your database and fetch record from there. So we have fetched username, password and role, and this will be assigned as a JWT token on first time. Second time onward we have implemented one filter, and there we have overridden one per request filter. This will give you do internal filter option method to override, and there we have again authenticated that request, whether this request is proper or not, and role also. Once it is done, it will be stored in the security contacts and it will be chained from there. So that for that particular request it is authenticated, and now then from that request onward it will be eligible for further processing. And to create JWT token we can use secret ID we need to provide, and then start date and expiry date or whatever we want to include. So it is suggested not to include sensitive data, but other than it is also comes in the three part, like first is what algorithm we are using, then second is payload object, and third is signature. So we can actually check that there are JWT, there is one UI available where we can verify our token also.
Okay, and can you tell me what are the steps are in Hibernate if you want to fill something or if you want to perform some DB operations? So what are the steps?
So Hibernate, like in JPA repository, internally it use Hibernate in our case as a transitive dependency. So we need to provide the database parameter in application.yaml or properties file. So it will create connection at the time of when server will start. So connection will be ready, and whenever it is trying to fetch any record, it will there are entity classes mapped. It is ORM module, I can say, object relational mapping. So there should be a same entity class need to be present as per our table. So we can directly create table also. If we have not created and we just want to update, then we need to as exact columns should match our entity attribute. So with that help, if I am doing save method, it will directly do the save and all. Then we can write custom queries also by using query param, and we can write native param also. So Hibernate will create a object relational mapping for us. So if I have written any code in Oracle and I want to change that database from for other environment for as MySQL, so no need to change anything at my database Java level. Only the database parameter need to be changed in the application.yaml. And similar, and Hibernate will provide you second level cache also. So if I have implemented for any particular method second level cache, it will first check that the request which is coming data is available in the cache or not. If it is available, it will return from cache, not from database. So those kind of flexibility also will get in the Hibernate.
Okay, so how many type of transition management are there in Spring? So how we can
how many type, when you will ask, so you are talking about the propagation level and transaction level?
Yeah, transaction level.
Okay, so transaction level we will have read committed, and then read uncommitted is also there, serializable is also there. There is one more which I am not able to recollect. So read will just read everything, it will be always the dirty read. Read committed will read only if it is committed to database. And then other one more parameter with transaction we have propagation, required and required new we can declare there. So required will first check whether the transaction is already available or not, then it will create, whereas required new always create a new transaction.
Okay, database side, can you write a query to find a duplicate record in table? Suppose we have employee table and we want to find the duplicate employee names. Can you right click?
Duplicate you want, or which is okay? Which is duplicate? Okay.
But
So this will give me all the employees count and employee name, which is having the count more than one.
count employee name. Okay. Okay. And for deployment and release perspective, what are to decide?
So we have Jenkins implemented for continuous integration and development. At the developer side, we have to just write down our code and commit into the SVN repository. From there onward, it is taken care by the implementation team, and they have Jenkins implemented. So there are 2 days decide at Thursday and Friday. Sorry, Tuesday and Friday, on which that Jenkins will run. We can run it manually also. Now it is scheduled for Tuesday and Friday, and it will deploy a code to a higher environment like dev to SIT to UAT, and like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm done from my side. Do you have a question?
No, Suraj.
Yeah. So I'll go back. So Jeremy is ready.
Okay, Suraj. Thank you.
Thank you.